Hello and welcome, guys. If you are listening, then this is a pilot for a new podcast we're trying out. My name is Tom, and I'm here with my friend Tyrell. We both do, we both actually met doing a video games design course at college, and that actually has led us on to find sort of a mutual love of similar things and build a good friendship and actually work on certain projects together that we had a lot of fun doing and sort of reached into each other's creative sides during that process and managed to find things that we possibly didn't know about each other and interests that we didn't think we had in common over that period of time. And we've basically come to the conclusion that this is what we'd like to do. We'd like to have a discussion, maybe bi-weekly or monthly, about certain things such as pop culture, movies, TV series, music, gaming, all the things that we share an interest in, and just discuss them and give our own opinions on them because we think that it's quite interesting the discussions we have sometimes. So, moving on from that, the Incredibles 2 trailer did come out this week, and it's got a different sort of approach that the first movie had.
Yeah, of course.
What did you think of that?
Um, I'm Tairell, by the way, and welcome to our very untitled and unnamed podcast that we haven't decided a name on yet. And yeah, I did catch the Incredibles 2 trailer, and it was very different. And I could see they've done it in a way where it's still current. Like it's current with the times now. Like they've done the whole Mrs. Incredible's going back to work, and like Mr. Incredible, the dad, is now like the one that's at home, not doing the work. Like he's looking after the kids, and I feel like it's a very cool spin on how they've done the Incredibles. And I'm quite interested to see what they're going to do with the film and how it actually like the film starts where it left off from the original Incredibles. So I'm really excited to see it. I know like we all seen that film when we was like kids, but I'm still really excited to see the sequel to The Incredibles. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been years now since it came out, but I
Yeah,
think it's weird how the premise of this movie is basically just him being a stay-at-home dad, and like I think everyone was expecting the whole sort of cast of characters to go on like a family adventure again, like they did in the first one. And
yeah.
I've heard some people say that it's weird, but current to the point where the people that were watching that movie have now grown up and had kids, and that's how they feel now. They don't feel like they want to be that superhero anymore. They feel like they're the dad, and it shows how long the movie has took to come out that is possible. But
Yeah,
I think it's also Pixar and Disney catering to the fan base that originally watched the movie for the second one.
yeah,
It's sort
yeah.
of
I do think that. I do think that they've tried to still keep in mind that the people who originally watched the film have now grown up, and they will be around that age that they can understand that they're probably like parents and stuff like that, and like they can understand what's happened. Like times have gone on much more progressive now. Like he's a stay-at-home dad. Then probably people didn't even expect that. Like I don't think they've in an animated film that something like this has been like tackled. To say, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but
Mhm.
I feel like it hasn't been tackled before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really. I understand why they're doing it. I still have high expectations for the film. I mean, it's a well known franchise from Pixar, so I think obviously they're going to do something good with it. Um,
Hmm.
they've proved that with every other movie, apart from the Cars franchise, which the first film was good, and then they decided that they're just going to take it to
Wow.
space, and the cars would be secret
It
agents.
would.
Or
The thing is, though, it wasn't even like the Cars franchise. Do you remember when they tried to do that spin off, like planes or some shit
oh
like
yeah,
that?
they did.
Like,
Yeah, they did. I think they did
what
planes and they
was
did
that?
boats or something. And
It's like planes, fire and rescue. I was like, what is this film? Like, it just came out of nowhere. No one talks about it anymore because it's not a relevant film. Like,
nah, it's basically just
that is
a toy.
crazy.
It's a toy seller, isn't it? That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was, man. But you know what people really wanted? They wanted new Monsters Inc. They wanted the new Finding Nemo. Yet they're making Planes the film. Like, come on, man. Like, it's rubbish, man. Oh well. All of that anyway. He's in the Venom trailer as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a weird film. This.
I don't know. It don't look like Venom to me. It don't look like Spider Man. Like,
Well, that's the
I was,
thing.
I was yet, I was yet to see any web slinging. Like, what's going
That's the
on?
thing, right? I see. I don't know if you actually knew this before. We watched it, but Spider Man is not in the Venom film because
What?
they don't have the rights to put him in there or something.
Wait, hold
No,
on.
no, hang on.
Wait, no. Because I thought Sony has the right. They
So
make all the Spider Man films.
so they have something, and he might be in there for like a split second, but it's not been confirmed. But this is basically like a Venom origin story, and obviously Tom Hardy's playing Venom, and the trailer is just
Great actor. Great actor.
the trailer's just a lot of sort of gritty stuff, and then you don't actually see Venom in the trailer, and you see the logo at the end, and it's a bit confusing as to what the film's actually going to be about. Like, what is the story in the film? But basically, when people think of Venom, they think of Spider Man. So
Hmm.
a Venom without Spider Man, it is it just like a horror movie or
Well, I know a little bit more about Venom because I used to read the Spider Man comics, and I know that obviously Venom comes from a symbiote, which is like an alien like life form or whatever.
yeah
But I don't think that's his origin story. This is why I'm kind of confused because I swear the symbiote had something to do with like Peter Parker in the lab. Like he found it as well,
yeah that's
and then
that
like it was drawn to him. You know how like in Spider-Man 3 that one of the worst Spider-Mans of all time. Like that film was terrible. That whole like music scene where he was dancing for like 10 minutes, like awful. But like but that had Venom in it. In a sense, it had Venom in it, and I just don't know. Like when I was watching it, it's going to be rated R as well, and it's going to be a 15. So
that's where
it's going to be a
that's where I'm
it's going to
thinking
be
it's
an
going to be.
ultra violent.
That's where
I don't know. It might be good. I'm going to give it a try anyway.
yeah, that's where I'm thinking it's going to
Could
be
be alright.
horror because you've got this sort of alien type creature, no hero character as such in the film, and it could be compared to Alien in a way. The film, uh, I
Nah,
hope.
it wouldn't be compared to Alien.
I mean,
Nah, because the thing that it's not
it's
a
not
monster.
similar, but people have been comparing it to sort of an Alien type film because of the fact that there's nothing really like what is Venom going to be in the film? Because obviously he's a villain. Uh,
Yeah, he is a villain.
so without him being able to be a villain in the film, what is he going to do? So there's no real explanation as to what's going to happen with it. Plus, it's not coming out
Well,
till at the end. It's not coming out till like the end of the year. So
yeah, it's the end. It's this fall. Yeah.
I don't really know if there's the need for a trailer at this point.
Well, I guess I feel like, well, you're right. Like they're trying to get people like you on board and talking about it because I feel like they know that they're taking a risk in doing a Venom solo film because the only ones that are going to show out for this are comic book fans, and then they need to make sure they get it right because otherwise the comic book fans will not go to watch it. So they need to make sure that this is on point for them. and then at the same time they're trying to get new people involved and like in it. But at the same time, I just don't know. Like Sony have just like they've just struggled so much with like they've just struggled so much with the whole getting like the Spider-Man IP and getting it right. Like, look how many times they've rebooted Spider-Man now within like our lifetime. Like, we've seen 3 different Spider-Man now. Like, well, Spider-Man. We've seen 3 of them.
Yeah, I should point out for context as well that we are both 21, so early 20s. That's not a long time in the period of sort of film industry. During that time, there's superhero movies have flicked around quite, a little bit, and they've
Yeah,
got bigger
I feel
now.
like I feel like the Avengers is like the like that like this Marvel current universe is probably our longest standing like thing we've ever like witnessed
Oh yeah,
as like from growing up as like from a kid into like being like an adult now, which is still going to carry on because they're talking about Phase 4, which they said they're going to focus on more female superheroes now.
well that's for sure. But it's weird that you said that like we've seen 3 Spider-Man during that time because some news come out this week that Sony actually got offered the rights to all the Marvel characters back in, I think it was the early 2000s or in the 90s, and
Yeah,
they actually turned it down, and they one of the senior guys that was negotiating on the deal for it actually said no one's interested in any of the other Marvel characters, just negotiate a deal for Spider-Man. And
what?
so they basically had the chance to get all the rights for Marvel characters to make into films. Didn't. Obviously then got the rights to Spider-Man, still got the rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
And they can make Spider-Man films, but all those other films that have been made, so Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Avengers, even stuff like Black Panther that's just come out, they don't have any of the rights to any of that because they turned it down. They just negotiated a deal for one character, or one sort of area.
it's just dumb. And also, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna come real clean with you. Like, like none of the Spider Mans like after like the Tobey Maguire era of Spider Man. Yeah, I have not been interested in them. Like, I don't know why. I just couldn't get it out of my head that Tobey Maguire needs to be Spider Man. Like, I don't want to see anyone else being Spider Man except for Tobey Maguire. Like, it just really, really messed with me. Like, and the fact that they actually negotiated a deal to specifically get just Spider Man because no one else is interested in any other Marvel characters. Like, Iron Man, Hulk, all those characters were like booming around that time. Do you remember like the old like Iron Man and like Hulk cartoon that used to like come on TV? That was so good. Like,
Yeah,
I can't believe they actually said no one's interested, and then they released that shit, that Hulk film. Like, that one was terrible.
yeah.
You know
I
exactly
I,
which I'm on
I
about.
went
I'm
I
on
went to
about as
watch that
well.
one in the cinema.
Oh man, that was terrible, man. Oh my gosh.
It was different, and they didn't have a good sort of period of time with the superhero films at that point, did they? They were bringing
No,
out some shit. Um,
the only strong thing that we had was Blade.
yeah,
Blade was only the strong superhero film we was have back then. There was nothing else. Even the Superman films were trash. In
and there's not.
my opinion, I'm not saying that like they were, but in my
No,
opinion,
they
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 were.
weren't. I mean, compared to like the current movies, they were nowhere near. But it's also because I don't think they took a lot from
But yeah, the
the
material, the
material.
source
They sort
material.
of
Yeah.
built their own world that they wanted to look good on the big screen, and I don't know if that really worked for them that well.
They did a lot of things that didn't make sense, and then obviously the new films now, like obviously we're making the transition over to DC now. We're talking in terms of DC. they're trying too hard to put source material in everything and trying to force like big stories inside of like a 2 hour film. That's not gonna work.
Yeah. See,
Like the Justice League film was under 2 hours.
I
What the
I
hell?
don't really. I think Wonder Woman was a good film.
Oh yeah, Wonder Woman was really good.
But apart from that, I feel like they're mashing too much stuff together. The only other thing
Oh
I'm
man.
excited about for DC though is the new Joker film that they're planning. So they're planning the Joker's origin
Yeah,
story.
yeah, but they're only doing that because obviously they're doing a Venom, like Marvel's doing a Venom film, so
Yep.
like they're just trying to just cash in the doing a villain origin story is cool now, but who we're gonna get to play the Joker? I don't want to see anyone play the
So
Joker.
they
Like I don't like. I'm sorry, Jared Leto was
yeah,
whack.
Jared Leto was
Like I don't
not a good Joker. He was
like.
different, but I think that's because of how much Heath Ledger basically made the role his own in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not even just Heath Ledger because obviously we had what's his name, man? Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
His
Jack
Joker
Nicholson's
was
Joker.
top notch. Who else played the Joker as well? We had another Joker before that. That
But
was
there is
good.
the person that is being linked. Well, there's two people that are being linked to the role. There was so DiCaprio was linked to start with, and
Oh, that would be Scorsese as
see,
well. Oh wow!
would be good,
Imagine.
but I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think it's the director's favorite for the role is Joaquin Phoenix. I think that's how you say his name. The guy that
Oh,
was in
yeah,
Her, and he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
The
He's
Lobster as well,
he could potentially be a
and he could
really
be a
good.
good Joker.
I was actually talking about that. I was talking about that lobster film the other day. Me and you watched it,
Yeah,
didn't we?
it's a weird film, but he
Weird as hell.
he portrays some weird things in it, but he's the sort of actor that can play a role like the Joker. I think the way, not maybe the way Heath Ledger did it, but for an origin story of like the transition, I think he would be able to play that role quite nicely, and definitely 100 times better than Jared Leto would ever be able to do something like that, because I'm not entirely sure what that Joker was supposed to be during the film. It was just like a guy painted white with a leather coat on, and
The thing is, as well, the particular character that they took that Joker from was a good Joker. Like, and he just that whole film was a mess. Suicide Squad was just a mess. Like,
then
ain't nobody was trying to check for that.
they're trying too hard to rival Marvel. Instead of focusing on what they should do, they're trying to rival too much and trying to basically jump on the bandwagon and take the money that's going into the Marvel films and have a little bit of that whilst it's still, big and fresh. But they're
Yeah,
falling behind, and I feel like they're going down this route of trying to, in my opinion anyway, DC movies always look too realistic in a sense that, well, you say realistic, but the special effects aren't as good as Marvel in
yeah,
some senses. But then with things like Wonder Woman, they just, you saw it as like the world seemed normal and everything seemed fine. Like it worked as it should work, and it flowed
yeah.
nicely, and that's why it was so good. But things like Batman versus Superman, it's just a
It
it,
was just, it was just too. It was nearly 3 hours long, and it was just full of mess. Like it was just the plot of it. There were so many holes in the plot. That whole dream sequence, slow mo everywhere. Like Batman and Superman having the same, like their mom's names were the same. Like what was that about?
I have
Like,
no idea.
I don't know, man. That was just terrible. This is terrible. It's funny you should say that. Like they're like everyone's trying to like make their own solo film of characters that they feel like people would be interested in. because obviously we've got Star Wars now, who've come along, and they're trying to do spin-off solo stories for all of their solo. They're trying to do spin-off solo stories for all of their characters now, which we obviously was in the trailer for the Han Solo film, and then they've announced that they've got the Obi-Wan Kenobi film coming out, and I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. Or hopefully, I would love to see a like spin-off Darth Maul film, because he was like one of my favorite characters. He's just super cool. Man had two. He was crazy, black and red. Like he was. So
Joe,
cool.
I'd like to see that Darth Maul spin-off, but after Phantom Menace. So if you watch I think it's the Clone Wars or Rebels is the new one. Darth Maul.
Oh, is that like the? Is that?
Yeah,
Is
so
that the
that's like the
cartoon?
animated Star Wars series. And Darth Maul's in, I think, one or both. I think he's in the Rebels. Um,
I think he's
I
in
think he might
both.
be
You
in
know,
both,
don't quote me, but I think he
but
might be
he
in both.
has spider legs now because obviously he got chopped in half, and he's now
Yeah.
got like mechanical legs. And I think that'd be. I'd like to see what happened to him after that and where he went, because he never come back during any of the films, and
No, he
in
didn't.
between 1 and 2.
But remember all it. I swear, like, Rebels and that's not canon
Nah,
anymore anyway.
Rebels is
So
canon.
it's Rebels and
I don't
Clone
know if
Wars
Clone
canon.
Wars is canon, but
I don't
Rebels
know.
started
Yeah,
after the Disney buyout. That was their new canon series.
oh,
So
okay.
he is canon in the universe and alive. So it would be. I mean, it's also going on to that fact of having like a villain film, isn't it? Where an origin story for a
Yeah,
villain,
yeah.
and I mean, if the Venom and Joker films are successful, then it might be something Disney consider for Star Wars, and I wouldn't complain about it, to be honest. I'd like to see,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd also talking about that. I'd also want to see where. Well, it depends if Episode 9 answers the question, but what, like, Snoke? Where did Snoke come from? Who is he? Because we haven't really got that many details on who he is. There's rumors.
Obviously, it's gonna be one of them ones where it's gonna come out as someone. There is rumors. I haven't like. There's just rumors out there. No one knows truthfully
Yeah,
who
so
he is. There's a lot
there's big
of
rumors that it's Darth Plagueis, but that
nah. That would nah.
it's sort of it's confusing, but I feel like they're holding something back for Episode 9, so maybe that wouldn't be a good, definitely wouldn't be a good solo film.
No, that wouldn't be. No, it wouldn't be. Wouldn't be a
But
whole.
I am looking forward to
Um,
the new Solo film. By that I mean Solo,
yeah, same.
a Star Wars story.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. We all know that we're both very big fans of Charles Gambino, Donald Glover. He's gonna kill his role. I just know he didn't even say much in the trailer, but I just know he's gonna
Yeah,
kill it. Like I just seen him. He look at him. Like you just know he's gonna kill that
he
role.
looks good as
So
Lando, and the costumes are very sort of good for Lando in this film, I think.
yeah, they're very
I
stylish.
think
Like I like
it
where
plays
they've gone
Lando
with it.
off sort of really well. The only thing that I'm not sure about this film is obviously Harrison Ford isn't playing Han Solo, and I'm not sure what I feel about it. Yeah, I think it's okay. I think like it for me, I'll still go and watch the film because I love Star Wars, and
Yeah, well, obviously he can't because there's a reason why he's
yeah,
not
there's a
playing
reason why.
Han
But
Solo though.
it's the voice in the trailer and stuff. It's not as iconic as you remember as it being Han Solo, but at the same time, it's only a I think it's 1 minute trailer, so you don't really get much of an understanding of the sort of portrayal of the character. And I hope that he is portrayed exactly the same as how he was before. And if that's the case, then I personally, I won't have any issue with it. I know Star Wars fans will have an issue with it because it's not Han Solo, and there always seems to be an issue with Disney making the films anyway. I mean, there was always
Oh no, I couldn't give a fuck what the fans of them say. They're always just like people hated on the last episode. What for? What were they hating for?
I thought it was good, to be honest. I thought it was different, took it in a different area. It wasn't normal, and I think that was good. I think it was good for the series because it's trying to you can't be 8 films into a series and just keep doing the same shit. I mean, you can. If you got cars and explosions, then you can do whatever you want for 20 films, apparently. But
Shouts out to the Fast and
for
Furious
something that's
series.
got a real story and it's trying to break off from this such like the original trilogy is what it's trying to break off of, and that's such a legendary sort of iconic series that they need to break off of that in a different way, because they can't just. The first episode was apparently too safe, episode 7, because it was too much like the first of the trilogy, A New Hope, and then the second one, everyone expected it to be the same as episode 5, and then it wasn't, and everyone's like, oh well, this was crap. You know, everyone says take more
Yeah,
risks and
no,
everything, so they
no.
did that, and then it's like, well, that's not very good. Don't really like that. But I don't think they can win, to be honest.
No, they wouldn't be able to. We wouldn't be able to at all. This is how it is, isn't it? Really. Yeah. Well, Star Wars, Solo, Gambino. I'm there. Don't worry about it. Gosh, yeah. Well, obviously this week as well. I ain't watched it yet. I know you ain't watched it yet. The Black Panther premiere. Yeah, again. Our boy is out here again. He's all over the Black Panther film, and I'm surprised he actually wasn't in it. I was actually quite shocked. I thought he would have been casted in it, but he wasn't. But apparently, he actually had a hand in the music, and he also looked over the script before it was
You
handed
just
in
point out that's
as well.
Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, not Kendrick Lamar. We're not on about the Black Panther album soundtrack.
Oh yeah, we're not on about like the Black Panther album. We're on about like the score. Like yeah, the score, not the actual album. By him and Ludwig, they worked on the score. Well, Gambino worked on a couple tracks with him. But yeah, apparently him and his brother looked over the script, like gave them notes on the script before it was like finalized, which is, I think is pretty cool.
It's pretty. It's nice to see that he's getting recognition for stuff like that. Obviously, I think Atlanta won a Golden Globe, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it did. I don't know. I don't want to be too. I think it was something to do with the TV. I don't know if it was an Emmy or not. But I know he did. They have
I think it's one or two.
A few
best
now.
Comedy program or something. I think best comedy drama or something like that.
But don't you think though, like the new season of Atlanta looks so serious though? Like they're not playing around. Like it doesn't seem to be like more of a comedy anymore. Like it seems to be more like.
But the last season had quite serious undertones as well. And
serious, undertones.
Yeah, I was going to say the ending. That was quite. I mean, well, I don't want to spoil it if anyone hasn't seen it and they're listening. But the ending is quite. You know, it's real. It's a real ending. It's not happy comedy stuff. It leads nicely
it's just
onto
real.
The next season.
Yeah,
but
it's just there's nothing else to like.
It's real. It's what someone would possibly do in that situation, and you know that I think maybe that was why it ended like that, to lead it on, for it being serious. I still think there's going to be elements of comedy throughout it, But
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
it probably will take a more serious turn. I mean, it's going to follow the story more, isn't it? It's the first season is introducing the characters and sort of introducing people.
Well, what do you think? What do you think Robin season means? Because it's a very weird thing to call it because they are making a point of calling it Atlanta Robin season. So I'm just thinking it must mean something like significant. And I like obviously I can't wait. Like it's March the
It is
what
March
was it?
1st,
March
yeah.
1st? Yeah, March 1st when it's gonna come out. So I can't wait. It's not even that long now. I just want to know what the significance behind the whole Robin season thing is, and why they're not calling it season two.
So I don't know. I think there is some sort of reasoning behind it. So apparently, you might. I think, yeah. So they said here that they did actually. So Stephen Glover has said that you might get your package stolen off your front porch. While we were there in Atlanta, my neighbor got a car stolen from her driveway. It's a very tense and desperate time, which I think um, Robin season then it literally means Robin, but I think it's in the more in depth sort of look into things. There's desperate times and people like desperate times call for desperate measures. People will go to any sort of lengths to do something to save themselves and to look after themselves or their
Yeah,
family. I think that's what it's trying to say. That you know doesn't matter what they did before in their life. They don't have the money now, or they're going through a tough time, and this is how they get through it in that area. And I think it might be like a throwback to um, their childhood or something when they wrote about what happened during their time there, as he said. But
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I think it's trying to show that you know, whilst some of these people, like even if you get involved with money or fame, people you still know could still be going through something like that, or the neighborhood you live in could still have desperation within it.
yeah. Of course, well, there's desperation everywhere. You know, it's 2018. We're in a very tense time right now. Everyone is very tense. Everyone is very desperate. It's not a very nice environment. I feel like the world is been it's weird because we're progressing so much, like technologically wise, like the way how we think and stuff like that. But then also like there's like a regression as well at the same time. Like it's happening, they're both happening at an alarming rate with each other, which I think is really like it's really telling of like how the world is right now. And hopefully this is just going to be just great TV again. Season two is going to be coming with all the same stuff. Can't wait to see what Paperboy's
Season
doing.
one was my
You know,
one of my favorite seasons. Here's another thing as well. It's a little bit unrelated, but the actor that plays Paperboy, right? I was watching. What was I watching? How to Get Away with Murder, and he turned up in that as like
yeah,
an extra, a bit part role for like one episode, and he just played a lawyer.
yeah,
And to me, he, I know him, the actor is Paperboy, and he turned up. I was like, I recognize him. I don't know where it's from, and I was like, oh yeah, is that his Paperboy off Atlanta? But now he's this lawyer, and to me in my head it didn't make sense because I know him as that character. So it's weird how it's like it's only been around for one season, but in my opinion,
but
that's who he
he's so
is.
like that's who he is. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the same as I can never remember his name. You know the other guy out of the
Yeah,
group as well. His
is
friend.
it Darius?
Yeah, yeah, Darius, who's Lakeith.
Yeah, it's
Laith,
Lakeith.
Laith, Lakeith. I can't remember. But yeah, like him. Yeah, He was in Get Out, and
Oh
when I seen his
yeah,
character in Get Out, I was just like, wait a minute. Like I was just like, that's not him. Like I was like, it's not him. I was like, it's Darius from Atlanta, and I was just waiting for him to do something real wacky, like, and he wasn't doing anything. He was really
yeah. See,
serious. It was crazy.
I
But
watched that.
like,
Now you said it. I know exactly who he plays, but I didn't put two and two together.
yeah, you didn't clock it though. You didn't put two and two together. Yeah, that's true. What do you think about? What does this mean for new music though? From like Gambino, like he said, is this is going to be his last project underneath the Childish Gambino like mantle, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's giving up music though. So I'm thinking, is his last release going to be the Chance collab, his own? Like, what does it mean? Plus, he's doing a festival in summer, by the
Yeah,
way,
I
in
think
London.
personally he's going to be working on something that's like solo, like a project himself. I don't think I think if the Chance collab does come, that we've been told is meant to be coming for God knows how many years, that it's gonna drop and it's not gonna be like a major project for them. It's just gonna be a thing because most of it was recorded a long
Well,
time ago. Now,
see, this is why I'm thinking to myself that it's not gonna. I feel like they're gonna record new material. They're not gonna use the old material because both of them, as artists and as people themselves, have grown a lot. So I'm thinking, would they really want to drop that
but then
same
do they
content
both
now?
mix as artists now?
I feel they do. I feel like Charles Gambino and Chance could gel together. Obviously, Gambino's last album was experimental for him, but it's a certain genre. So I'm just thinking, can Chance
Well, that's what
get
I'm
that
thinking.
experimental?
Does Chance 3 sort of mix with Awaken My Love? Mm, in my opinion, you can't. But then it
I
depends
don't know
what
though. I don't know though.
where it's gonna go.
Because
If they are gonna do something together, I don't think they're gonna take that path. I think they'll take the path that'll go more towards Chance 3 with maybe a little bit. Obviously, it's got jazz influence anyway, so yeah, a little bit more soul influence in the jazz.
I don't think Gambino's gonna go. He won't. If he's gonna do it with Chance, he won't go down that funkadelic like
Nah,
Awaken My Love route. He won't do that. He would definitely try and go on some rap stuff, and that's what I think the next project will be as well. Because obviously, all of his projects have been different since Camp. It's actually no, that's a lie. Like even before Camp, all Gambino projects have been different in a sense. He's kind of like Kanye. Like every Kanye album is different. It's not the same. So that's exactly what Gambino's done. He's all done like different albums. And Awaken My Love was such a departure from his old like his style. Like the last thing we heard from him was Kawaii. So in terms of like an official release. So for him to go from Kawaii to like singing like he's like he's in the 70s doing funk. It was really weird, but it was an amazing album though. Like he showed off his vocal
yeah, I
range.
think. I mean, it was one of my favorite albums, and it's it's not what I really expected from it, to be honest. But that doesn't mean it was bad. It was good for me. But then I can't tell where it's going to go next with it. Like you've just said, I can't tell if he's going to go back to rapping or focus more on this side of things. I do think it would be a solo project though if he's going to do anything. If it's definitely going to be his last one, because this one was meant to be his last one. But if it's definitely going to be his last one, then I feel like he does it on his own and doesn't unless
Yeah. Because I felt like it's gonna be weird, like Chance the Rapper, ex Donald Glover collab. Like,
well
nah, it's not gonna happen.
it depends what he's going to do. So if he does do this and have people on it as Gambino, then I think he's going to do rapping. And I think Donald Glover would be saved for more of the singing, especially now he's getting his name out there as a lead role in a
Mm.
musical film as Simba in The Lion King alongside Beyonce. I think that's the perfect time for him to cement his name as Donald Glover in the music industry rather than Childish Gambino. But,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
but then I'm not entirely sure where or what he's really going to do with it. But saying that, like experimental stuff, Frank Ocean released his cover of Moon River this week. It was like unannounced on, what was it? I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, 14th of February. So he released that just sort of out of the blue, no idea where it's come from. Only on YouTube as well, which is, it confused me a bit because his last songs that he's brought out that haven't been on projects as singles, they were all on Blonded Radio. They all came straight to iTunes as singles. Whereas this didn't. I don't know whether that's because it's
Yeah,
a cover and he doesn't hold the rights to it.
I I think it's the cover, and obviously it's a Frank Sinatra song, so getting the rights to those, even though he is Frank Ocean, getting the rights to those or getting the the royalties, like set up for that and the rights will probably
Yeah,
be
I thought it
insanely
was
hard.
a good cover. It's different, but it took it in an experimental way that I wouldn't have thought of listening to that song before. It's iconically Frank Ocean. It's his style. It's still got the same uh undertones that Blonded sort of had, but it's taken like a classic song and making it
Yeah,
modern.
modern. Yeah, yeah. I loved it. I listened to it and I was so wow, like he's done it again. He somehow like managed to come up with like it's something so simple as covering a song, but doing it in such a modern way. Like it was just beautiful. Like, and I could just say that for all of his every single release has been different. On Blonded when he did his Blonded singles, every song is super different. Like Chanel, Slide, even though Slide's not his song, he still did that on Blonded first. Biking, Biking was like traditional Frank Tyler like
And
collab.
then you've got
Like
Provider as well.
obviously Jay Z.
Then
Oh yeah, Provider was amazing.
Lens was
Lens
one of my
was crazy.
favorites. And then
Like
obviously you had the remixes as well.
yeah, Lens
The
was
So you had Travis Scott,
yeah.
and
There's
then you had
Travis Scott one.
Biking solo as well, which was just his recording of Biking without
Yeah,
any of the features.
yeah. Then you had Chanel with ASAP Rocky on the end doing his like verse over the phone, which is really cool. I wish he like they'd properly do that song because
Yeah,
Rocky's
but I
verse is
think
really cool.
go on.
Yeah, it was just, I was just saying it was like I think it's really crazy like how one man can have us all like he's just such a, like he's iconic, like he's gonna go down in like history as probably one of the being like the one of the greatest artists of
He's
our
definitely done a
generation.
lot for music. I mean, it doesn't seem like he has because obviously he's only released 2 albums as such. Um, Obviously Nostalgia Ultra was a mixtape, so that's not classed as an album.
And Endless
Yeah.
was a
So
visual album. Even
yeah,
though Endless is on disc now and it is being sent out. Damn you, Frank! Where is my Endless? Because I haven't got it
I
yet.
mean, it's technically it's an album, but it's just like it's like what? It's like yeah,
it's
it's like
like
the curtain
it's like
board,
the
the stuff
side
that didn't
B.
make it,
Yeah,
or the stuff that was being played with but never elevated to anything. I think that's sort of yeah.
Like like sideways on Endless. Wow, that song was amazing. That could have just fit in Blonde easily. Like it was
I think
crazy,
it's sort of
crazy
what he's
good.
doing again now, but he's he's making these songs and then releasing them as singles and experimenting in different sort of not genres but with different styles, and then there's no real connection between any of them, but it shows that there's something
Yeah,
coming from it because obviously he's worked on Blonded or Blonde, and then sort of created a style with that, and then straight after from that, like Chanel came out, and then you started these different songs coming out, and there's some sort of style relevant to all of them in a way, but they're not what I would put together and call a project. Like he, and then the Moon River cover as well.
yeah.
It just sounds like he's experimenting and seeing, like, finding a new sound as such, and then that's going to be the new sound for his next album. Is what I hope anyway. I sort of, in my mind, he's already working on that, and this is just him experimenting with different things. But we know that it could take years before we see a new album.
Yeah, I wish I know I'm fine as long as he keeps releasing these little singles here and there. I'm good, but he can't ghost on us again for like another
Yeah,
fucking
but
5 years. Like
I think
he can't do
it's
that
good.
again,
It's
man.
different that he's releasing these little singles or snippets of things that he's doing. Um, it's I don't really think there's any other artists doing something like that at the moment where they're literally just like, oh yeah, here's a single. I didn't tell you, but there's a single. It's not really got any sort of relevance to anything, but I'm just doing stuff. So listen, and it shows that he's working on something.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously he's in the studio recording these things, and he doesn't. It didn't take him. You'd like what 3 months to record a cover in the studio. So he's obviously been doing other stuff during that time. But it's nice to see that he's experimenting
Yeah.
with other things rather than just sort of
Yeah.
going in, doing an album, and then coming out. Because I feel like that's what a lot of artists do. They go and do an album for like a year or so, or 2 years, and then come out and then do the same again.
Well, it's weird because obviously we can get into the whole conversation of like doing streaming and that, but I feel like we'll leave that to like a future episode where we could talk about the reason why people are making albums so long and how like it doesn't feel like a lot of passion has been put into it or whatever. But it's funny you should say that about how he's just putting out songs for people to feel because obviously like him, Dave Chappelle, Rocky, Kanye, and Mos Def were all in Berlin together, apparently recording material. I say material because I don't know if it
But
was
yeah, Dave
music
Chappelle
because
don't
Dave
make
Chappelle
music.
don't make music, but I think it was all cool that they were all together doing material, which I'm thinking something special is coming, either for Kanye's album, either for Frank's album, either for Rocky's album, or even for Mos Def, like a project. And I just think it's really cool because I know Rocky's album is on the way, which is called Testing, and he put out 2 tracks, and he said that they were a test to see how people felt about the songs, which I feel like he's been inspired by Frank to kind of like just put songs out just to see how people are feeling them. So it's kind of I feel like it's kind of like ironic like these two guys have like linked up together now to like make music more around this kind of like time where they're just releasing tracks track by tracks like snippets on Instagram. Like how do you like feel about it? Like because people can give such an immediate feedback now, you can see what songs will be good to
But
put on the
it's
album
yeah,
and which
is that
ones
sort
won't
of
be.
so?
Do you know what I mean?
When you said that they released songs. Was Raph part of that, or was that something entirely different?
No, Raph was a part of the Cozy Boys volume 2 tape. Um so that was on there, and that was with, I think, both Frank verses were on there as well, which is quite interesting. But he was on the end of Chanel as like, it was like Chanel version like 6 or whatever. And then like Rocky himself now, he put out 2 tracks, and in the bio on SoundCloud he said that this is just a test. And then his manager said on Instagram, now, thank you for your feedback. That was just all a test. Now wait until the album comes out. So I don't know if he was trying to test sounds or test how like fans thought about it. But I think it was a pretty good like idea. Like the concept was good, but how the rollout is happening at the moment, he's taking too long to come out with the album. Like the album should be out now. So I don't know. It's just new Rocky album on the way. I'm happy anyway. I like ASAP Rocky. I think it's really cool.
It's something different for fans, or like, I don't know, consumers, listeners, to be able to have feedback on something whilst it's in production or in the final stages.
Yeah, because it was like unfinished. I think the songs were as well.
You've seen it before on social media for stuff like that, and you hear snippets, and you know, but it's never been direct. It's just sort of been like leaks here and there, and this might be on there, this might not be on there, or it's like a bonus track that comes and it's only in Japan or something on the Japanese version, and there's loads of different things that normally happen with that, but I don't think there's ever really been like that direct contact between artist and fan where they say, this is what I've got, what do you think? It's always been sort of, oh, we've heard this, and that's just from like some random third party source that this video's popped up on the internet and this is what it sounds like. What do you think? And they ask you what you think, basically to get feedback on their website so more people view it. But it's never been that direct feedback where the artist asks, what do you think? So they can then improve their work.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really good. I think it's really cool. I like the way how he's doing it. We're gonna get to this Justin Timberlake album.
I was looking at that then. I think to be honest, the time is skipping by, so we can gloss over the fact that
it is, man. Wow,
that album came out.
Well, by the way, like we're not just going to talk about like rap. Like we love all types of music. We'll be talking about all the releases. Like we won't skip over any. Like, so yeah. Let's put Justin Timberlake. Tom, give it a listen. Shit's terrible. I thought it was okay.
It's
the thing surprising. Half the album is done by the Neptunes, and the other half is done by Timberlake.
But it was, I don't know what it was trying to be. It was trying to be a hybrid between Justified and 2020. Nah, I've not really got much words for it.
You knew it was going to be trash. Exactly, you knew it was going to be trash when he was coming out with like a fucking album disclaimer, like this album is not for you, it's for me and where I came from. Like, Justin, now is not the time to be going back to your lumberjack roots. Like, in the time where it's 2018, Trump is in presidency. Like, we don't need you to go back to your lumberjack roots. Like, it's not the time. I don't know. I don't always do. Fuck that shit, man. Let's get to some games. So, neither of us have got Monster Hunter yet. This looks lit, though.
I did see something quite cool, which is that you can be Ryu from Street Fighter in Monster Hunter. Yeah. So it's you unlock it
What? When does
somehow,
this happen?
and you can run around as Ryu. So I
Why,
do want to
Tom?
get.
All right, Tom.
I don't want to
We're
get the
getting it
game when I've
next
got
week.
money. It's the first basically open world Monster Hunter game. It just looks incredible. And it's
Yeah, it is. It does look insane. It does really look good.
yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
I recently got
Have you played
Persona
Persona yet?
5 as well. That's a really good game. I haven't got that far into it. I played it for like 2 days straight, and I haven't touched it since because I got a Switch after that, so I've been playing that, and then I've been playing other stuff. But
Oh,
yeah, it's
Nintendo boys.
surprisingly good game, and I've got to say as well the cutscenes in Persona is basically um like 2D anime cutscenes, and then sometimes it goes into like cell shaded cutscenes, but it's mainly like watching an anime and then playing it, and it's pretty
That's
hard just
hard.
to sort of play through in that way. And the turn based battle as well. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like the turn based stuff, but it sort of fits the game. Um, the personas are sort of like Pokemon in a way. It's like a really dark, fucked up Pokemon. It's how I
See, the thing is as well. There's
yeah
actually a Persona like fighting game, so I feel like you would understand. You would understand it more as well if you played the fighting game too. Because yeah, the turn-based battle, yeah, it kind of turned me off from the game, but I still want to pick it up one day because everyone tells me how like great Persona 5 is.
uh,
Like, so I'm like, all right, then I'm gonna pick it up one
it
day
totally
when
makes
I've got the
sense
time.
in the
But yeah,
game for it to be turn based and not real time. I don't feel like there's enough in it for real time, and I feel like the game would feel emptier or possibly too cluttered at times if it was real time. Because if you're, for example, if there's two of you and you're fighting like four of these demons, and one of them's on a horse and whatever, and they've got spirits and they change and stuff, like it's for that real time is going to be hard to try and do that, and it might be too frustrating to do something like that because stuff will be moving all the time. Whereas the turn-based stuff works
yeah,
really well, and then it leads really nicely into the cutscenes. And it's quite a story-driven game as well. So for the story, for it to do that, it works nicely. It means you get to follow the story, and doesn't mean that it's open for too much sort of freedom. You do obviously get the chance to go around and be free and stuff, but
yeah.
in nice sort of nice
Hmm.
elements. So it's not a massive open world. You just have certain areas you can go around in, and I think it works well in that aspect. I don't think it needs to be open world. I think they could make it open world if they planned on doing that, but certain games have done that recently, and it hasn't been a success.
Nah, they don't. Nah, they wouldn't need to make it open world because obviously, if you know about Persona, the anime
No,
and
it
everything like that,
doesn't need
it
to be,
doesn't
but
need
I
to be
think they
open
can,
world.
if
There's
they
no
wanted
point.
to, they could make it into something. But I personally don't think that it should.
Well, I don't know. I haven't personally played the game, so I wouldn't know if open world would work. But if you're
I
saying
don't
that, then
necessarily think it'd
I can
work,
take your word for it.
but I think it's something that they could consider if there's enough interest from Western audiences for something like that.
Yeah, we don't need open world and everything. We don't need open world and everything, man. It's just everything is open world now. It just ruins games. Like I get it if that's what the core thing is supposed to be about. Like GTA is supposed to be open world, but he's making random ass games open
Yeah,
world now for
they
no
do
reason.
actually
Like, it's
they do
just
actually do that
annoying.
now.
Like,
Dynasty Warriors. So or is it Dynasty,
oh,
wherever.
that
Anyway,
game.
uh, number 9 of that, they decided they're gonna make it open world. Games come out, no idea. Basically, you just
Who
run
asked for
on a
this?
horse through empty forests until you reach the next battle. So it's not really open world, but you can roam around on a horse in
Oh
a
my
forest.
god! So they're basically like Metal Gear Solid 5 to everyone. Like you just like
Basically,
running for
yeah, they
time,
just
like
basically
doing nothing.
put a
Like
big open field with some trees in there and said, "There's your open world." But
Dynasty Warriors literally was one of the most like in like it's just so frustrating playing it as a child because no matter how many enemies are defeated, they would always come back. Like they wouldn't die. Like I didn't know how to like defeat the enemy. Like like mowing down like thousands of men. Like oh,
yeah,
what was going on?
it does not work as an open world game, I don't think. But I mean, I think it's because it's what people are buying into, and they think that's what they want. But it's really not. I don't think anyone wants too much open world stuff anymore. It's nice to just have those games. But it's like Shadow of the Colossus, right? That game basically led on to so many things that we see now in video games, and it's just been remastered and it looks beautiful, and it's got a completely basically empty open world bar the 16 colossi, but it does it right because the environment looks really
Yeah,
nice, and the whole concept of the game is sort of exploring and going to these places. And I think when people try and make things open world now, they miss that whole aspect of, if you're going to make an open world, you've got to make sure it looks nice, it's a nice environment to be in, and people will go and explore and find stuff sort of lying around. So, in Shadow of the Colossus, you can find lizards in certain areas, whereas, in Dynasty Warriors 9, you literally just follow an arrow on the floor going through a forest in this open world, but you can divert from the arrow, but then there's nothing there. It's just trees. So what's the point in having this open world when you're just going to run through it? You might as well skip that part of the game just out completely, like the last 8 games have done. It just didn't really make too much sense. But
no, I didn't.
yeah,
Still,
sort of speaking about Shadow of the Colossus, um, I said that I recently got a Switch, and then I recently bought Zelda on it as well. And that game is, I know that people have said the game is really good, and it's got really good reviews, and everyone's sort of raving about it. But the game is incredible. I sort of understand why people have been going on about it, because it's a beautiful looking game. The mechanics are some of the best that I've ever seen within a game. The combat is really nice. The whole stamina thing is really nice as well. But I do think they took some things from Shadow of the Colossus, such as the nice looking open world, the sort of not obviously shrines is a Zelda thing, but the look and feel of certain things in there. Um, the Colossi are sort of reminiscent of the 4 Guardians in Breath of the Wild. So they have these big robot creatures as well. And then you've obviously got the same stamina
mm-hmm.
mechanic of a circle in Shadow of the Colossus that you've got within Zelda. And I think what they basically did was just took certain elements that worked well, expanded upon it in their own new environment, and it's made a fantastic game. And it's
Yeah.
not a carbon copy at all. It's not basically taking this game and improving on it. It's just taking little bits that worked and putting it into something new and different.
Well,
Yeah, I
as I
mean,
was
I
saying before, it
definitely
might be that time to get that
recommend it.
Switch.
I've not.
Oh, you've been hitting me up
I've
just like
not. I've not put it down
just
for
play
like
my
2 weeks.
Switch. Like, oh, damn, I
It's
want to.
just it's just so easy to play whenever you want, and you like I've used it in every way you can use it already. So like I've put it in the dock and put it on my TV and just used the Joy Cons. I've used it with the Joy Cons in the controller thing. I put it on the TV and played like Skyrim with motion controls. I don't know why I did that. It was just fun for like 5 minutes to punch the shit out of some random guy. And then I've played it in handheld mode. I've also played it 2-player with the little Joy Cons and set the Joy Cons up to have me against someone else, both on the TV and portably. So we've played like Rocket League portably, and it works perfectly fine. I'm surprised how well it works, to be honest. Uh, I can't think of anything else that
That's
there is that you can play it with, but everything seems to work as advertised. You do actually feel the need to use it in different ways at some point because you might get bored of playing one way and then you decide you're going to change to do the other thing. Or, for example, you're doing a shrine in Zelda. I was doing one earlier, and you had to tilt the screen around, and it was taking ages because it was like this little maze. You had to get the ball in the
yeah,
maze and then flick the ball up onto this ramp, and it was really sort of taking the piss. I couldn't do it, so I just took the Joy Cons off, put the screen up, and then you could use one Joy Con to rotate the maze instead. So you could just basically cheat by rotating the maze upside down
yeah.
and flicking it without the maze on the thing, and it worked fine. So I mean, I don't know if you meant to do that, but
I don't think
it
you
was
meant to. The
designed
key was
in a way
cheat,
that
Tom.
was
You're not supposed to
possible.
do that.
So I believe that you're allowed to do that. But you can, you play it
yeah,
in different ways, which is nice as someone that plays games quite a lot. Like you and me both know that sitting on a controller playing games is nice, but sometimes, after a certain period of time, it can get slightly boring because you're just doing the same thing. Um, Even with things like VR, I feel like VR at the moment, even though it's really impressive, to me, I'm interested in buying one. If I did buy like £600 worth of gear for a VR headset, got home, set it up, used it for like an hour, not really sure if I'd play it like every month. I don't even know if I'd touch it every month. And is it worth spending 600 quid on something that I'd play every
yeah.
now and then? Or do I get something like a portable console that I
No,
can also use at home for half that price and has exclusive games on it as well? Like, that's another big selling point. Obviously, you can only get Zelda and Mario and stuff on the Switch. I do want to get Mario. I'm just waiting till I get money. But a lot of the indie games that I've got on there, so like Stardew Valley, Shovel Knight, I think that's it at the moment. But stuff like that, like even like Enter the Gungeon and uh, like loads of platformers or stuff that you can play just like on the go. It's really nice to have that and just pick up and play it. Sometimes I feel like on a PC
yeah.
or even a PlayStation, games like that lose their uh, Well, it's more like nostalgia effect of a 8-bit platformer or something that you're playing, but also, you know, it's a pick up and play sort of game where you can just play like a level. If you don't win on the level or you die, you can try again. If you die and then you run out of time, or you can just put it down. Whereas with a PlayStation or something, you've got to sit down and sort of
Yeah,
focus and say, right, I'm going to do this for like 30 minutes now. And you can't just sort of put it away and
yeah,
do something else
exactly.
and then come back to it again. I mean, you can, but it's not it's not the same principle. It reminds me of like playing my Game Boy and used to play on like a Game Boy and you play a game and then, you're doing your platformer, you can pause it, carry on in a bit, or, if you die, well, forget about it. Just pick it up again another time when you're bored and see if you can complete it then. And it's like gradual grind through the game just when you've got the time instead of
Yeah,
having to make time for it by like playing on PlayStation when you go home or something. And it means you can focus on like AAA games at home and then indie games that are also really good but work better on a portable console, in my opinion, because you can just play them wherever, whenever, and it doesn't take away any of the time you've got the game at home. And it also means while you're normally sat bored or playing like crappy mobile games, you can play something that someone's actually put like I don't want to say people don't put time and effort into mobile apps, but the majority of the apps on the mobile store by certain companies are used mainly to make money. That there's no sort of it's just clones of each other half the time. The popular games, there's no like heart or soul or anything that goes into it. It's just basically they want money from ads and in-app purchases. But I think I'm done with chatting shit about that now. Because that
yeah. It was good. Well, shit. Like, look at the time. The time's like
we had
gone on. What else we
there's a
got?
few
We've got
things
to
I
fucking wrap
think
up.
um we could probably leave some things for another time. Uh, but news this week, which is sort of quite quick but probably quite interesting, is um, apparently there's rumors that Spyro is going to be making a comeback this year, September time. It's looking like to PlayStation 4.
Well, it makes it makes sense though, because obviously the Crash Bandicoot one, which I've got, and it's great by the way, that was so like everyone loved it. It was like one of the most bought games when it came out. Like, it was very, very in demand. So for them to make a Spiral trilogy, like, damn, start making proper remakes of classic games, and people will buy it. Don't make, oh, we're just gonna update the HD textures. Like, I see you, game development companies, because we do game design and we know what you've done to the game. Like, you haven't done much when these fucking remasters are coming out. Like, fuck out of here with these HD collection like
Yeah, well,
remake.
it's
Ooh,
meant to be
do an actual remaster of the
it's
game.
meant to be built in the same engine or whatever it was built in. Crash Bandicoot was built in the Insane trilogy. They're going to use the same backbone to build Spyro in, and or I guess
Okay, that's cool.
continue to build Spyro in because I'd hope if it's coming out in September they'd have started work on it by now. Um, but I mean,
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot is selling for like 20 quid, and that's for 3 games that are classic games. That's a good price in sort of modern times for a game like that.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of replayability on it. You got free games, lots of fun. It won't be You can't complete it straight away because, trust me, it's hard. It's a lot harder than when I was a kid. Like, So yeah, it's a good game to get into. Yeah, Spyro, like the same company as well. Um, Obviously the new Shadow Colossus remake just came out. Now that's a proper remaster as well. That same company is looking for new people to work at their company, because they're about to start work on another new remaster.
Is there nothing
So, but
confirmed?
what game it is, I don't know. Nothing's been said. Just that they're starting work on a new remaster again. So it could either be an ICO remaster. There could be remastering any IP, but it was a good
Yeah,
remaster that they did for Shadow of
that
Colossus.
game
So
was also
hopefully
solid.
it's
Like
going to be another great game.
it looks well. I don't want to say better than some of the games that have come out that are classed as new gen, current gen, but it does, and with the same mechanics as well that it had when it first came out. It's an all round great game, and that's selling for like 20 quid because I mean it's a short-ish game with obviously it being a remaster as well, but to pick it up for like that cheap, especially if you've never played it before and how good it looks now, like it's in my opinion is a no-brainer to go for something like that. And it's a good time for gamers that they're doing stuff like that
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not what was going on, say, I think when was it? It's like the start of the end of the PS3 cycle, Xbox 360, start of Xbox One, PS4 cycle, when they were literally just like rolling off remaster after remaster. But
Yeah,
it wasn't remaster as what we now know as like a remaster, which is when they rebuild the game. It was
it was just it was just like
yeah,
it
it
was just
was
like
HD
upscaled to like
emulation
versions
or
of
whatever
games
it
that we've
was.
already played. Like, what was the point? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which was just really, really silly, and I don't know. It's just one of them in it. But as I was saying, like to talk about like the game industry as a whole, like we've got fucking Ubisoft that wants to make games into services, which I think every company's trying to do. Like Destiny's got their whole jam going on, which is being like firebombed by their own audience at the moment because, well, community, because of how much they've fucked over all the gamers that brought the shaders or whatever, all the microtransactions. You got EA who are trying to do the whole games into services thing as well, which didn't work out for them. I just don't know what everyone's trying to do. This whole, I don't want to be online all the time. I don't want to be playing with other people. I want to play a game by myself.
I
Like,
think, ironically, the reason why everyone's trying to go for this is because of number one, the amazing success of games like I know I'm not even going to say PUBG or Call of Duty.
or
Um,
PUBG.
Stuff like I don't know, like some MMOs. Um, but then you've got things like Destiny. It's obviously like the biggest thing in that market. Um, Rainbow Six Siege. But then the biggest one out of all of that is like GTA Online because it is ironic how a mainly single player game with this random online section that they brought in for GTA 5 has now turned into like their biggest thing. And um, everyone's sort of seen from that the game has lasted so many years because of the online aspect of it, not because of the like no one goes back and like is playing the
Yeah,
story now. People are playing online. And the game's always lasted longer anyway. The longevity of games such as Grand Theft Auto and stuff always lasted longer because of how polished they were, and you could just have the freedom to do what you want in the game. But if you take that online and then you can do that with friends, it adds this extra bit where you can go and they're constantly releasing content for it all the time, which means people keep coming back. They keep spending money, and there's just this massive ecosystem around it. And that's what Ubisoft want to try and do with things like Rainbow Six Siege and I think Ghost Recon. It's what they said in a press conference or a statement, is that that's what they plan on doing in the future, because I think from their point of view, they don't want to spend millions or however
Yeah.
much they spend making a game for it to then be like on a 2-year cycle, and they then have to spend that money again to make another game and just keep trying to break even, or make a little bit of profit here and there.
Yeah, they don't,
Because
but
it is
that's
a
not
risk
the
spending that much on a game and releasing
that's
it,
not the
because
point
games
though.
don't
I know
always
what you're
do
trying to
well.
say.
Even
People
like
trying to say, oh
massive
yeah,
company
games like
games don't do
they're
well.
so expensive, like
Um,
to like make and stuff like that. Yeah, they are expensive to make, but these companies are like billion-dollar companies. Like they're not putting that much money into a game. Like it's not that much, especially the type of quality. Like, and if they are putting this much money into the game, why is it not quality content? Why is it shit? Why do I have to pay microtransactions towards things if you're putting so much money into these games? Like I just don't get it. And then they say, "Oh, we need the money to like further the game." But what furthering what game though? What are you furthering? Like Battlefront 1 was terrible. Battlefront 2 was a good game, but was terrible because it was riddled with loot boxes. Like I just don't get it. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know what Ubisoft's doing. I don't know what EA is doing. I don't know what Activision's doing. They can all someone needs to take the Star Wars IP and go with it. They need to get someone else to make it because it's not going to work.
I understand it.
What
Yeah,
RPG?
I
That's a
do agree.
lie.
I do agree that
That's a
EA shouldn't
lie,
do
Tom.
it.
It's just a
Well,
rumor. Like no one
say
knows
that
if they're
I
even
want to
gonna.
wait and see what they do with
Apparently,
the
they're not even
RPG
gonna
thing that
make
they're
it into an
working on
RPG.
first,
It's going to be their
because
version of Destiny.
that
That's
could
what they're
be
going to do.
something good.
Yes, that's the same solo one where they shut. No, she's not doing it anymore. Didn't they shut down the studio the other
So
day? They shut down
is that the
Visceral.
same one where they've got
Did you not know that?
the director of Uncharted?
Yeah, they shut Visceral down and laid everyone off and took that game that they did and they said that now they're remaking that game into something else, which apparently is
I
going to
think
be
it did. I can't
along the
remember.
lines of an MMO RPG like Destiny, but Star Wars. So take that as you will.
Mm.
Just like a solo. I can't remember
I
what the
would
game was
like
called
if
either, but it was like a. It's supposed to be like a single player,
someone took it
story
and made
driven
like
Star
a.
Wars game, and it was going to be sick.
I can't remember what it was called. Uh,
Yeah, but that's what the game that Visceral was working on was that was what they were gonna redo.
that was Star Wars 1313, which was, yeah, that was what it was sort of going to be like. But even something like the Force Unleashed,
Yeah, that's
like
because they're just
a
too
game
busy
like
trying
that
to.
where
They're just too busy trying to make
there
money
hasn't really been
off
one
like players, unnecessary
since
money at that
then,
as
and
well.
that was
EA's got
ages ago.
so
I think
much
it's longer
money
than
coming
10
from
years now.
everywhere, they don't even know
Um,
what to do with it. Like,
well, there is a rumor that um, Disney Lucasfilm, or Disney, but the Lucasfilm
oh
department of
yeah,
Disney
yeah, I heard about that
are
as
actually
well.
considering
How a
giving the
top
Star
like
Wars
Disney
license to
exec
new game developers
apparently
now
voiced his concerns
because
to
of
EA's
how
top
badly the
execs,
Battlefront
saying
games
how he
have
wants
done.
to potentially take the IP off them and give it to. Yeah, I did hear about that too, which would be good.
I mean, it's not that the
It's the
games have
bad
done
press.
badly, but considering the franchise and the company they gave it to and the money probably spent, yeah, and the bad press. I mean, it's not. it's not ideal,
Yeah,
is what they want. And Disney want that. I mean, Disney's main target market, even for Star Wars, is kids, right? So they're given this license to a company that makes games, something that the majority of kids now play, and that company is then deciding that they're going to riddle that game with microtransactions, which kids will then maybe look to steal parents' credit cards or charge parents' credit cards that are linked
yeah,
to their accounts to better themselves in a game instead of just being able to play the game and enjoy the game. They're trying to sort of it's and the kids are unaware that they're possibly paying for these loot boxes. It's the same as the in-app purchases thing on iPhones and uh, even like Androids and stuff years ago, where they said that they had
yeah.
to
That's why.
state whether there
Remember
was
on
in-app purchases
apps that were
within the
free used
games
to just have like the
before
free button, and now
they
have you
actually
noticed
were
that this is
like
called
on the App
Get
Store view.
because they had to put
So
Get
people
because
knew.
it's got in-app purchases in them.
Yeah,
Of course, it's
yeah.
not.
It's
It's not
just
them, and that's
I think it's not the people that make the games that make these decisions, which is what I don't think people understand as much. People in the games industry get into that industry because they want to make games. They even the people that are managing like Battlefront 2, I'm pretty sure they did not want to uh, include something like that within the game to block certain stuff. But they would have been given a target of this is what you've got to do and
yeah,
this is how you like you've got to make money some way from this so that people continue to play the game. And it's because of people that are up top that don't understand how games work as such. It's the same in most industries really when it's a creative industry, but the people who are running that industry still want money from it and have basically, you know, they're not the people that are shareholders within EA aren't people that are necessarily knowledgeable of games. They just invest in it and become a board member because of the fact that they can see this is making a lot of money. I've been told to invest all my money in this, so I want more money, and that's how it works. It doesn't work like people think it would work, where someone goes in, this is how they want to design a game. They design a game like that, works perfectly. They have to still adhere to the people that are above that want certain amounts of money for each year. And that's sort of where I think maybe giving it to a new developer
yeah. It's a
would be a fresh start and something different. Um, Maybe not someone as big, to be honest. I like Dice as a studio. I think they're a very good studio, and the games looked incredible. And apart from a few glitches, the gameplay was okay. But I think giving it to someone that's a little bit different, um, got more experience of doing stuff, maybe single player, not so much multiplayer, could work wonders for the franchise. To be honest, I'm just trying to think of ideas of something that would work, and you could have. I mean, they used to have the pod racing games. I did hear a rumor actually that I don't know if you ever played the spaceship game that I think it's Jedi Starfighter.
nah. I never did.
Um, Let me see. Jedi, yeah, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter. Did you ever play that? Well, it's I think it was Obi-Wan's ship you drove around in or something.
Yeah,
But basically, like a an Elite Dangerous game in the style of Star Wars, and it was pitched to EA that this should be a new sort of game that they should have,
yeah.
and he got turned down. So it shows that they were only looking at making a certain type of game
Is this
realistically,
there
even
could
from the
be
start.
many avenues we can go down to making Star Wars games. Many avenues.
But I
Yeah.
mean, it's yeah, there's the endless possibilities in that universe to do literally anything. Um, especially with the sort of Star Wars story
Yeah.
films they're doing now, they could do like something a Star Wars story as a game, and that would work perfectly fine, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, we did.
But I think we did plan for this to be an hour.
I was
It's an
just supposed to say,
hour and
well,
30 minutes now.
yeah, well, it was
Um,
cool doing this. It was like our first thing to do. Like we've never done anything
I
like
don't
this
really know
before,
how
but
to end it, to be
we thought
honest.
our
But
conversations were pretty interesting. We thought, hey, why not record them?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I think hopefully it's been a good pilot. I think we could have discussed probably for another hour and a half more. We've got many things that we also wanted to discuss, but you have to try and
yeah. Well,
keep it to a certain level and not
but
go
it's
too
cool
much
though.
into
Obviously,
stuff
it's
and
all
start
things to just
waffling.
like work on and
And I
shit like
feel
that.
like
So
that's where it could have
yeah,
gone,
it's cool though.
and
But
possibly
yeah,
maybe did go a little bit at the
I'm
end.
Tyrell,
But
and the other guy, he was Tom. We don't know what the podcast is called yet, but I hope you enjoyed listening to us. And yeah, Tom, you got any last words to say?
yeah, so if we have named the podcast by now, then this is why it wasn't included
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the start of this pilot. Because we didn't actually have a name for it yet. We did have a name, and we've changed what the concept sort of was.
yeah,
Um, we didn't want to lock ourselves into too much, so we just decided that it'd be a general chat about stuff that we have interests in. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I mean, we're not sure whether we're going to do it bi-weekly, weekly, monthly. Probably just look at dropping some stuff every now and then. But we are going to post this on uh, iTunes if we can, SoundCloud, and any of the places where we think that podcasts can be found quite easily. YouTube could also be a possibility if we look into it, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. And there will be we'll set up some social media of some sort when we have a name and some more branding. And then updates will be on there. So thank you to anyone that has listened today.
yeah.
I hope you did enjoy that.
Just yeah. All
I
right,
think
cool.
that's how we end it. We just say bye and
Yeah, thanks for
go.
thanks for watching. What's wrong with you, man? Thanks for listening.
So,
Oh shit.
once again, thanks for watching.
we,
Thanks for
we, we
watching.
could make
Thanks
this into a
yeah,
YouTube video. Just put like a picture of like me and you.
Thanks for listening. Unless you are watching a black screen. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work.